There have been times when I've responded to you, and actually I didn't even realize it might have been a harsh response.
Well, that's kind of what it is. You go within yourself and deal with you.
I ain't sure I haven't been that mad.
You really?
Yeah.
Where you couldn't have sex?
And I know I ain't ever been that busy.
Don't allow busyness to stop you from dating and caring for each other and doing special things and really appreciating your partner.
Bringing sexy back, reigniting intimacy when life gets in the way. Today we want to talk about how we're going to normalize the struggle with physical and emotional intimacy, reduce shame around desire changes, and offer practical ways to reconnect sexually and emotionally. Hi, I'm Jim. Welcome to Marriage with Jim and Teresa. This is my co-host, my wife of the last 40 years, the mother of our 4 children, Teresa the therapist.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Teresa. You good?
I'm good.
So help me set the stage.
So when life gets busy, intimacy is often the first thing to go and the last thing to come back.
Huh.
So let's dig into that.
Okay, if you say so. I'm not sure that's true for us, is it?
Well, you know, we're talking to our younger selves.
Oh, we are talking to, that's right. I forgot that. This show is about talking to our younger selves. We've maybe learned some things now.
Right.
Okay. So desire isn't always spontaneous. It often needs intention. Mm-hmm. And our culture portrays desire, especially romantic or sexual desire, as something that should arise naturally and effortlessly.
Right. You see all those movies, you know? And it's like, oh, it's on.
They walk in the door, hey, tearing off their clothes. Sometimes in the morning, hadn't even brushed your teeth.
I know it.
And they're just, So the reality is that desire can fade without deliberate care and cultivation. And I guess that's what I was speaking to. I think you and I have become or learned to become really intentional. But you're right. We're talking to our younger selves. We obviously didn't know this when we first got married.
No, we didn't.
Okay. So this is particularly true of long-term marriages, partnerships, but it could be, let me keep going. Where routine, stress, responsibilities, and familiarity can dampen the spark that once came so easily. Mm-hmm. But when we say long-term marriages, that's not to say that it's not a thing with new relationships, though, is it? We're not saying that.
No, we're not saying that.
Okay. All right, so keep going.
So here's how intention plays a role. So we desire needs nurturing. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense because that's not how it is on TV.
I know it, and we just mentioned that.
Oh, but you're talking about in reality.
In reality.
In reality, okay, desire needs nurturing. Okay, that does make sense.
I mean, just think about the man and the woman, the differences, right?
Yeah, that's one of the first lessons I learned in our marriage was about the differences when it comes to intimacy.
So just like fire needs oxygen, desire often needs time, attention, and thoughtful effort, put into it. So yes, desire needs nurturing. We got to do that.
Okay, so if left unattended, it doesn't necessarily disappear, but it may go dormant.
Yeah.
Intention acts like the spark or the fan to reignite it. You mentioned oxygen, desire needs oxygen.
Right.
So the big idea in this is you want to be intentional. You want to ignore most of what you see in the public space around intimacy, desire, sex, and it's always very spontaneous or often very spontaneous. Mm-hmm. But in real life, and that's what we're doing here, real life, it's actually something that might require more planning. Now, didn't you used to say, weren't you kind of against like scheduling intimacy?
Well, no.
You seem to, didn't you want more spontaneity maybe than I did?
I guess at times, but I do. I mean, I think I found out that we. I guess you could do that. I guess I did say that at one point, but now I see it differently. Matter of fact, if it has become dormant, I will tell a couple to. That's what you have to do. You have to put it on your calendar, put it in your book. In your phone, so a notification will come up, so that you can do certain things, and then I'll give them some things to do. So, I think you really have to be intentional in that aspect.
By the way, since you brought that up, is this in the counseling center? Is this a common theme that comes
absolutely up? with our society, with our economy, and everything that's going on in our world right now? Yes, everybody is busy.
Wow.
You've got got both people working. You've got children. You've got a lot of things going on. So yes, you're going to have to be intentional. And then the next thing, desire follows connection.
All right.
So once we've been intentional, we've nurtured the desire. Now this follows connection, and connection is so very, very important.
So what I hear you saying is desire follows emotional intimacy and connection, not the other way around.
Right.
Okay, I got you. So whereas, and we're using generalizations with men and women, whereas a man may feel like, hey, I need intimacy so I can connect. Mm-hmm. Women, generally speaking, are more like, I need connection before intimacy.
That's exactly right.
Which is a lesson I learned 40 years ago. Nobody explained that to me. It was an interesting lesson.
Well, just think about it. If we're on the same page, we're connected. We can be vulnerable. We can be just feeling each other. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do see what you're saying.
And anything can happen then. You thrive there.
So you talk about a couple who feels emotionally distant, and this is what we just got through talking about, may not experience much spontaneous desire, but once they spend time intentionally reconnecting, attraction and passion often follow.
Oh, yes, it will.
Okay. What's the next thing you talk about, Teresa?
So intentionality combats, I guess, the routine.
Okay. Okay.
And so you don't go through that stage of, I guess, just
autopilot living.
Yeah,
I've heard you use that term.
Autopilot. Mundane.
I'll be listening to what you be saying.
Yeah,
autopilot living. Okay, so when you're mindful of creating moments of fun, flirting, novelty, curiosity, you breathe life into a relationship that may otherwise feel stale. Now, when you talk about getting out of doing the mundane, we aren't suggesting you don't need to pack up and go to Tahiti, although I'm not against going to Tahiti or Fiji. Fiji is actually one of the places I want to go. I'm not against that, but you can schedule little, not spend a lot of money things. Yeah. And also you can't afford to schedule out a huge trip every time you want to connect, because hopefully the intimacy, you want that more often than the every quarter or once a year trip that you take.
Absolutely. And, it can be something as small as just dressing up for each other, doing something different, simply being more mindful and present with each other, sitting on the couch, just being together. Okay, now it can be just that small.
Let me make sure. So we don't often talk about what each of us is going to say. So some of this is like I'm actually learning when I'm sitting here with you.
Okay.
So when you say dressing up, are you talking about sexy little nighties during intimacy, or are you talking about dressing up? What are you saying?
Well, it could be that. It could be sexy, a sexy out negligee type thing. It could be that. It could also be, we're going to be intentional tonight for dinner, so we're going to dress up.
I hate that.
And we're going to put, have candles and really be formal with our dinner tonight. Something different. Just you're stirring it up, the routine.
Okay,
the mundane.
So this is interesting. I guess I never put this together, so I know
going on a picnic could be that as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the house. It could be out, something that's just totally different. You're stirring up the pot.
I know that you in particular, you love dressing up for dinner.
I do.
If I can't wear this that I'm wearing, I typically don't want to go. So those are just the differences. But me knowing that it's important to you, me knowing that it's crucial for connection, I need to be sacrificial in how I treat that because it's important to you.
Absolutely.
You don't have to come
It's
on the show to
giving.
tell me that. You could like written a note or something. Okay, I see. All right. So let's talk about faith and desire. In a faith-based context, intentional desire reflects love as a choice, not just a feeling. What are you saying? What are you saying, Teresa?
So, we are called to love and to pursue one another with a purpose and grace and modeling Christ's intentional pursuit of us. That's what this thing is about,
Okay. So in marriage, desire becomes an expression of covenantal love, intentionally choosing one another over and over again, even when life makes it inconvenient or difficult.
So, yes, just us being human, we're not going to always want to do certain things. Just like you say, you make the choice to do things, and, you carry that out.
So desire may begin spontaneously, but my favorite word. So I don't know if we've talked about this. I have a favorite word, and I think it's appropriate to put it in here.
Okay.
My favorite word is intentional.
Yes, you have that on behind you in your desk.
Exactly, that's my favorite word. It was my word of the year last year, and it's actually been the word of my entire life.
So
really.
how did you come up with that, and why did you come up with that at that time?
That's funny. Other people said that to me. I didn't really notice, but people said to me, Jim, you're awful intentional, and different people.
Okay.
People I didn't know that we get to spend time around each other. Jim, you're awful intentional.
Okay.
And so after hearing that, I started examining myself, and I came up with, wow, I guess I never really thought about it, but I am really intentional. Like when we were dating.
Right. I think you have always been intentional.
Yeah,
I've never really used the word for that, but definitely that's exactly what it is.
Okay, so this should fit right in my what's that term? Right in my bag, right in my
I don't know, your box?
yeah. This should fit very well for me because I am normally intentional, but I'm learning as we're walking through this topic. You're sharing some interesting things. So emotional intimacy and physical connection are deeply intertwined. Why do you say that?
While emotional intimacy and physical connection can exist independently, they reach their fullest depth when they are both, in harmony together. They do better together.
Gotcha. Okay, so emotional closeness creates safety and trust, while physical affection and connection reinforces that bond.
Yes, absolutely. Think about that.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Okay, then Teresa, you talk about emotional safety fuels physical desire. Okay, explain. Keep going.
Well, let me just say this. When someone feels emotionally safe, when they feel heard, when they feel valued, they're more likely to let down their guard. We have guards, and that leans into the physical connection. We have guardrails around us in different areas, but if we can get that feeling of safety, then those guards, those walls, they come down, and you can make that connection even better. So
you talk about a spouse who feels constantly. Wow, I mean, I hope this isn't happening. Although I know it does happen. I know it does happen, but a spouse who feels constantly criticized. Wow, that's deep.
I've heard that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, the stuff that you share, because I'm not in the counseling room with you, and the things that you see and you share, it's fascinating. I'm glad you don't share a lot of this with me. Maybe I can't handle everything that you see. I'm not sure I'm trained to handle everything you see there. But so a spouse who feels constantly criticized or emotionally neglected is unlikely to feel physically drawn to their partner.
Just think about that.
That makes sense.
Right. If you're not, if you're criticizing me, let me just say, when sometimes I'll say, I need to lick my wounds.
You have said that.
Well, something has happened where.
Who did it?
You.
Oh.
And we have we've made a disconnect somehow. It could have been something. I mean, it could have been something I said or you snapped at me or
Hey,
whatever.
ho, slow down. Slow down. Have I actually ever snapped at
Oh,
you?
absolutely. You snapped at me. And I've
okay.
snapped at you.
Really?
Uh-huh.
See, I don't even remember.
Yes, you do.
Okay, keep going. Keep going.
But anyway, so that really does hurt sometimes, and when you do that to a person, they go within themselves to deal with that. And a lot of times it's good. They'll come to me to talk it out, to get through that, get past that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. There have been times when I've responded to you, and actually I didn't even realize it might have been a harsh response. But by looking at your face and watching your body language, I can tell, oh, wow, that must have come across really harsh. So then I typically will move to try to mend the disconnect. Mm-hmm. And that's when you'll say sometimes, hey, I just need time. And then you came up with this whole phrase. Where'd you get this from? I need to lick my wounds.
Well, that's kind of
like you've been wounded.
Well, that's kind of what it is. You go within yourself and deal with you, because sometimes it might not all be just about you. It could be something I'm dealing with, and you just kind of hit it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
So yeah, man, this is tricky. So when we talk about emotional disconnect and the need to feel loved and the need to feel safe, sometimes I could say something or a spouse could say something that's not particularly harsh.
Right.
Except for the fact that we hear and see life through the baggage
There
of
you
our
go
past
again.
experiences.
That's
So
right.
therefore, I said it at a level 3, but you heard it at a level 8.
That's right.
Okay, got you.
That's right.
Physical affection reinforces emotional bonds.
Yes.
So you say.
So yeah, for instance, let's just look at touch. It is so powerful. It's a powerful language. Everybody likes it. For instance, connection means holding hands. Mm-hmm. So we holding hands, cuddling. That's beautiful. Simply just being close by you. Sometimes I just want to feel you and smell you.
Yeah, you say that. I understand that.
So that's so important, and it really does reinforce that emotional bond for me.
Now, I see that you've gone clinical on me here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
In some of the show notes where you actually say that holding hands, cuddling, or simply being near each other physically releases an actual hormone. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
What's it called?
Oxytocin.
That's not even a real word.
Well, I think that's what they say. It's called the bonding.
That's a drill. Oxycontin. You gotta be careful with that. Is that what you
said?
said?
Oxytocin, and it's the bonding hormone. I encourage people to really deal with that, and touch does that. And also, we'll talk about this. Well, I guess we'll talk about it now. Sex. Sex is an excellent hormonal bonding time. So there it is.
So we've been talking about intimacy, big picture, right? Because intimacy, you've already explained, that's more than just sex.
Right.
But now we're going to talk about the physical act, sex, which hopefully what we're sharing and we've learned, and we want you to uncover the same information, is that it's hard to have great sex, maybe even impossible, but it's hard to have great sex without physical and emotional intimacy before sex. Because there's so many, and this was one of the first.
And part of that is all that goes with the connection as well. Go ahead.
And this was one of the first lessons I learned in our marriage. So I would travel a lot. I'd be on the road. Let's say you and I had an argument on Monday. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I get back in town on Thursday, and this is at the top of my list is, hey, we're going to have sex. But often I would walk in there, I'm home, whatever, we put the kids to bed, it's night, and for whatever reason, I would notice there was something wrong with you, and you would say, I would say, hey, is there something wrong? And you would say, you know what's wrong. And I would say, no, I don't know what's wrong. And then you would say, you know what you said or did on Monday? And of course, it's Thursday. Nobody remember Monday on Thursday?
Well, you see how whatever you said affected me emotionally.
That's when I learned the lesson.
Yeah.
It was reinforced later. For most women, sex is more of an emotional act. For most men, sex is more of a physical act. That's why a disconnect with you, now I would say it even makes sex better, but it doesn't make it impossible or less likely that I want to have sex because you and I have disconnected.
Right. Exactly.
So what are some of the things that you want to share specifically around sex as we talk about, in the context of emotional and physical intimacy?
Well, first thing I'd like to say is that sex is a beautiful thing. It is God's design for connection for a man and a woman. So life you're just not partner, let's just say roommates or whatever. So God has designed this on purpose. It's a beautiful thing. Sex is absolutely beautiful in the context of marriage, as he said, so that and this is a guardrail for us as people, that sex would be in the context of marriage. But it's a beautiful thing, and I don't want, some people make sex nasty or ugly, but it's not. It's beautiful. It's a way to connect with your partner. And it just shows it's a love. It's almost like heaven on earth, at a moment. In a moment.
So you talked about, I can kind of see a spiral here, because here's what I hear you saying. When people are emotionally and physically connected, it leads to great sex. Great sex then leads you to be more emotionally and physically connected. So it's kind of like a spiral. So one thing doesn't happen, the second thing doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And does that I know it makes sense, but is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And I know you've counseled couples, or you tell me the story, you've shared some of the stories, so you tell the audience the story. You sometimes your prescription has been, you tell the story, hey, sex, you guys aren't having sex, which is a big part of the problem. So here's what I need you to do. Tell some of those stories.
So usually I have to remove whatever their think that's in the way, because usually there's something in the way that's stopping them.
So sex is more the symptom, not the lack of sex is more the symptom, not the problem.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Got you. Keep going.
So it. So I'll usually say something like, we need to move up to that, or the progression to sex, and we need to be intentional about it.
Hey,
it's important that you guys make that connection. Once they make that connection, that's a start to even better connection.
Okay, so these couples know they haven't been having sex. They know that's not the norm, right?
But they're busy. It's just like, I just don't have time. I'm exhausted. I'm busy. It could be I'm going to say I had one client. She was in school. She had just had a baby, and she was working part-time.
She was in school. I follow you.
And of course, her body, she's exhausted. She's tired. So yeah, she doesn't want to have sex or whatever. But and you'll lose your connection, and we'll talk more about that. But you will lose your connection if you don't put sex in there, have sex in the relationship.
I find
it's designed. God designed it for a reason.
I don't find it hard to believe. I find it fascinating to hear that you could actually get that busy.
That's what I say sometimes. I'm like, so you guys are so busy, you can't even have sex, a fast sex thing, And a lot of them will say, no, they don't have time. But something else is usually in the way.
Yeah. I see.
It's usually something else in the way.
That makes more sense.
It is.
So it's not we're too busy to have sex.
Right. It's
It's
something.
that we're so disconnected. I'm not really that interested in having sex.
Right.
Is really more.
It could have been something said, something done, a resentment is there somewhere down the line, somewhere in the way.
So we've been married 40 years. I'm trying to think. I ain't sure I've ever been that mad. You know what I'm saying? I ain't sure I've ever been that mad.
You really?
Yeah.
Where you couldn't have sex?
And I know I ain't ever been that busy.
Really?
No. Matter of fact, I'll skip stuff.
You will, and you will.
Yeah, I'll skip stuff.
You have been intentional.
Hey, Jim, I got an emergency over here. Hey, man, I can't come right now.
Okay.
I'm busy. You know what I'm saying? So anyway.
But let me say this. I do want to be sensitive to those who are having some problems with sex. It sometimes have to start, in counseling, you have to start to move some stuff out of the way. You need to, but then you need to want to go down that path, because if you're going to be with someone, it's important. It's so important that you guys connect on this level. We want to just emphasize that.
Okay. All right. You also talk about have we already covered this? Disconnection in one area often impacts the other. So we kind of
have talked about that, where any kind of disconnection in the relationship will flow over into many aspects of the relationship.
All right, Teresa, so let's try to bring in, which everything we do hopefully is rooted from a biblical perspective. And here's what God said. God invented sex. God invented the whole idea behind intimacy, emotional closeness, physical closeness. So from a faith-based lens, you talk about God designed human love to be both emotional and physical.
Yes.
What are you saying?
So in a marriage, we reflect his covenant love by pursuing both heart and body.
Okay.
So you got it?
I got
heart
you.
and body with honor and intention.
Okay.
You like that word? That's your word.
That is my word.
So the Psalm of Solomon is a beautiful example of how emotional admiration and physical desire go hand in hand. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I'm very familiar with the Song of Solomon. Then you cite some other scriptures. You talk about Genesis and Adam knew Eve.
Right.
The word "knew" implies deep intimacy, not just physical intimacy, but emotional and spiritual union.
Right.
You talk about emotional intimacy invites physical closeness.
Right. Right.
Keep going. Okay.
And physical closeness deepens emotional intimacy. So we're going over and over with this. Like you say, I started from one area and I'm coming on down. But the whole point of this whole thing is together, the emotional closeness, the physical closeness, all of that, they create strong, resilient connections. When a weather, let's say when there's a storm, when in our relationship, when there's a hard, difficult time in a relationship,
which everybody's going to have.
Right, we've had it, but it doesn't mean that if we're connected, we got power to move on, through that hard time.
Hey, so speaking of hard times, let's take a page from our own book. So we've shared the story before how. We lost everything. We lost our home. We had our cars repossessed. I've pawned my wedding ring to buy grocery twice. Got $300.
I know. I remember that.
So during that time, I think we've talked about this before, but during that really season, we weren't sure where we were going to live.
Right. It was difficult.
It was difficult.
It was hard.
Did you feel that we were less connected? What did you feel? I don't
Well,
know
like
if we've
I
ever
say,
talked about this. Matter of fact, maybe we should pause the video right now to actually talk about it.
No, let's just talk about it.
I know what you're going to say.
Okay, let's just talk about it here. But no, I never felt that's what I'm saying. When those hard times come, if you have that base of connection, being together, you've worked through things. You're not leaving stuff hanging out. And when I say hanging out, I mean like unresolved conflict. Then you can weather the storm, whatever comes. And so with us, when we went through that hard time, we kind of went toward each other, not away from each other. We united. We came together. We had a base of being heard, being seen. We had a good base so that we could weather a very difficult time in our relationship. So I think we did well together.
But we didn't have a conversation that I remember. Hey, Teresa, we're going through a really difficult time.
No, we didn't.
It's more important than ever that we pull closer together. That wasn't a conversation.
No, it wasn't a conversation. That's why, in a relationship, when you're dealing with any kind of human being, period, a person wants to be heard, they want to be seen, they want to be respected, they just want to be loved, especially if they're in this type of relationship. And so that is so important to keep that going, being intentional, doing different things. Like we'll get to that a little bit later. But that's what helps you deal with any kind of hard situation.
Wow. So since we know what's that adage, trouble or storms, you're either coming out of a storm, in a storm, or a storm's headed toward you. So we know that trouble comes. So these are some precautionary things that you can be doing when trouble comes. And maybe your trouble won't be like our trouble, where it's bankruptcy, it's home foreclosure, it's car repossessions. So prayerfully, your situation will be milder than that. But we were prepared. And even now doing this show, it's like, looking back in hindsight, it's like I can see clear how our pain was part of our purpose.
Yes, looking back.
But you said that often.
I did. I saw it. Before you did.
You did see it before I did. You
Yeah.
talking crazy. Pain part of your purpose. I don't want to hear that. so yeah, you did see
Well, nobody
that.
wants to go through pain, but pain is a part of life. I'm sorry.
Okay. Wow.
Well, I don't know if I'm sorry or not, because pain will help you grow and learn.
So hey, we're going off script here.
Oh,
for a
we
minute.
did. We did.
No,
We
no,
went-
no.
we
But I'll
did.
ask you another question. So, are you saying, sitting here today, what are you saying? I'm glad we went through it, or I'm not glad about it, but I see. What are you saying?
I'm saying God taught us a beautiful lesson through the hard, difficult financial time that we went through. That's what I'm saying today.
Okay.
That's the best I can say it.
Wow. There are times when I go, hey, Lord, I see what you are doing, and I see how this was necessary. But then there's also a part of me that goes, hey, wow, maybe I could have just read a book about somebody else doing it. Hey, I'm going to tell you an interesting story.
Okay, let's hear it.
This is an interesting story. In the middle of going through this, and this being, we've lost our home. I've taken gotten a job by the grace of God, where I'm making $40,000. Well, okay, I started out making $36,000 a year. Now, this ain't 25 years ago. This is recent history too, in the last 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
So business closes. I'm out of work. I'm not bringing in any income. Thank God you're working at that time. You were working in the mental health center, right?
Yes, I
As a mental
was.
health therapist. So you're working.
And working part-time in my own practice.
Oh, in your own practice. So you're the only one working. So I get this job as the director of youth ministries at New Hope Church in Jackson, our church. I start out making $36,000 a year when I had weeks in the past where I made $36,000.
I know.
But hey, a year later, I did get a raise to $40,000. I did get a raise. I remember
Maybe you shouldn't be telling that, but go ahead.
well, no. Why should I be saying? No, I did get a raise. I mean, so I didn't stay at $36,000. I moved up to $40,000.
Wow.
But the point is, in the midst of all of that, a lady came into my office. She said, "Hey, can I come in and visit with you in the church office there?" And she told this story. And this is an interesting story to me. She said, "Hey, Jim, I want to tell you a story I've never shared with anybody." And I don't know the lady that well, so I don't know what she's about to say. She said, when my husband passed away, he left me $1 million. And she said, and I have lost all of that money. Now, I don't know how she lost it. I don't know what happened. I didn't ask any questions. I'm just listening. And here's what she said. And I'm telling the story about how God uses people, even if you didn't volunteer to be used.
Right.
So here's what she said to me. She said, I've been so embarrassed about this story, so depressed, so ashamed. I've never shared this story with anybody. She said, and the paper had done a story the week prior about our loss.
Right.
And now how we're trying to rebuild and we lost everything. So she read the story in the paper. So she said, I've never shared this story with anybody. I've been so embarrassed. And then she said, but when I read your story, I feel so much better. And she it was like relief. It was like you could tell the story had helped her, right?
Right.
So she thanked me, so glad that we had helped her like that. And I remember her leaving my office. And you know what I said?
Watch it.
Really, God? This what you doing now? You got me going through stuff to help other people? I ain't that magnanimous. What's the word? Magnanimous.
Magnanimous.
Whatever the word is, I ain't that.
Magnanimous.
I'm not that magnanimous.
Okay.
I never would have volunteered to go through stuff. Hey, I know what you're saying. Hey, Jim, maybe you saved this woman's life. Maybe she was suicidal. Would you have volunteered then? I don't want to answer. I don't want to answer the question. I don't want to answer the question. Yeah, but that was a great lesson in how, hey, we playing checkers. God's playing like master level chess. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So he's using stuff to help other people. So here's the point that we're making. We're about to talk about some common intimacy blocks. Mm-hmm. And we have personally experienced, so you mentioned stress, shame, exhaustion. I mean, there was a level of shame to what we went through. I mean, it was somewhat embarrassing, although we were very comfortable sharing our story. I think you were more uncomfortable with sharing the story than I was.
Right, I was, and it was the shame.
Why were you so uncomfortable?
Because I think it was the pride in me.
That's a shame.
That's a shame. I call it what it is. That's exactly what it was. It was pride. I felt like I shouldn't have to have gone through that, but God knew better, and I'm not the creator of myself.
That's the truth. You ain't the potter. You're just the clay.
Exactly. So deal with it. So
well, okay.
So God was working with me in all kinds of ways, but pride was one of them.
Wow, you've shared that before. That's deep. So we're talking about intimacy blocks: shame, stress, exhaustion. What do you say about that? What do you want to say about those intimacy blocks?
Well, I don't know. There aren't, I guess, they're just not surface level issues. They are deep.
Okay.
And so you really have to deal with those things little bit by little bit. You really need to really horn in on them. So that means there's some introspection that needs to go on.
Why don't we do that right now?
Let's do it.
Let's take them one at a time. So
right.
stress,
yes.
The silent closeness killer.
It'll do it. So stress is one of the biggest yet most overlooked intimacy disruptors. So when a person is chronically stressed, just think about this.
Okay.
Whether it's due to work, finances, just like we went through, caregiving, it could be any kind of emotional burden, they shift into a survival mode, right? So they're not thinking about a lot of things. They activate the nervous system in a way that I guess I would say makes you emotionally and physically the openness becomes difficult because you're like I said, you're in survival mode. So you're not as open. Does that make sense?
One of the things that I'm getting from what you said is that when people are in survival mode, there's something about that mode that makes them, whether they mean to or not, selfish.
Absolutely.
So it's like is it a fight or flight thing? It's like
it could be.
It's like so I gotta focus on me because I'm trying to survive.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So then you talk about the body and the mind are not relaxed enough to be present, playful, or vulnerable. Wow.
Do you see how, like I say, when you're in survival mode, you're so focused on surviving because that is your mindset. Something needs to happen. And I believe the 7 years that we were going through our difficulty, I was in survival mode. I did not let that go. I was in a survival, stressful mode for 7 years while we were trying to turn things around. Now, was that a good place to be? No.
Were you aware that you were in survival mode?
I did. I really wasn't aware of it until one of our counseling gatherings, because we a bunch of counselors, we get together sometimes. So until she said something, and I think, gosh, I've been in survival mode for 7 years, and that's very stressful. I have tried to, be present with people, but I could tell I really wasn't.
Okay, so I'm not sure I was aware you were in survival mode. Are you saying, to the best of your diagnosis, that I also was in survival mode? And if you are saying that, were you aware?
Yes, we were functionally depressed
hold
people.
On. You mean you? I saw you saying we. I thought you were saying we.
We were functionally depressed people surviving. And I think you started to come out of maybe such survival mode once we moved to Illinois. I think you started to come out, but I was still in it for some reason because I was thinking about everything we had lost and all of that. But anyway, going back to Stress can be definitely a major barrier, and shame and pride and all those things
Okay,
can be
so
major
let's move to
barriers.
shame. We're talking about emotional intimacy disruptors.
Yeah.
So we talked about stress. Now let's go to shame. Shame, you say the hidden wall between hearts. And you already shared that going through our situation, our financial loss, our financial devastation, and in our case, I guess I want to dig down with part of your shame, because it's one thing to lose. Was your shame, or the level of shame, associated from the heights with which we fell?
Yes, absolutely. I thought we would stay on those heights, because those heights were great.
Wow. Okay. So we were at house on 7 acres of land, tennis courts, shooting range, 4-wheeler trail.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not all about the physical stuff, but I am trying to paint the physical picture. Both driving the cars we wanted, both driving Mercedes at the time. This is years ago. But you're saying that you feel like your shame was heightened because but even when we were there, we weren't what's the word? Unappreciative. We weren't.
No, we weren't.
Oh, at least I didn't feel like I was prideful.
We were so grateful. That's why I was a little hurt by when this thing all happened, because I'm thinking, Lord, we've been faithful. I was kind of like Hezekiah, Lord, I've done what you've told me to do the best I knew how.
We always been givers. We supported
always
other people.
very gracious. Yeah, we've always been very gracious in giving.
So given the heights from which we fell, that back to the point, that made you more shameful?
Somewhat, I think so.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And like I say, once again, that pride, that's what it was sticking under there.
Okay, now, I tell you something you say that is interesting. We didn't talk about this, but some stuff I'm seeing on here. Mm-hmm. So in terms of, you say why it blocks intimacy, you say shame convinces people they must hide parts of themselves.
That's exactly right.
So I would notice I was very comfortable sharing the story.
So Jim, tell me, why didn't you feel shame?
I didn't feel shame that I'm aware of. Now, maybe it was so deep I'm not aware of it, right? But I didn't feel shame because I will say, through no fault of my own, it's not like again, so we took all the money we had, we bought 70 houses, and over the next 7 years, we grew a real estate investment firm to 20 full-time employees. And we bought hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of houses, bought and sold hundreds of houses. Right. So when we lost everything, it wasn't like, Jim, you gambled it away. You did something obviously, apparently wrong that you shouldn't have done. Mm-hmm. So.
And I knew that.
So there were two parts of me. There was a part of me that I think probably why I didn't feel the level of shame is because it's not like I did something to mess it up. So part of the reason I felt like that is because it was the 2008, 2009 real estate crisis, right?
Right.
So the whole world was crumbling. So part of the way I approached the shame part was because I didn't really feel like I did anything wrong on one part. But the other part, and I say this all the time, whatever happens at our house is my fault.
That's what you say.
So now a better way of putting it would be my responsibility, but I like the hard, in your face, my fault. That's what I tell myself. So the other part of it was, hey, Jim, it's on your watch. It's your fault that this happened. So, hey, Jim, the whole real estate world is crumbling. Yeah, but I should have been able to fix it. But anyway, for that reason, I don't think I felt any shame. And here's how we treated this differently. I openly shared our story. You were a little bit more reserved about sharing the story. Now, I got to be honest, I don't even know why I shared it. It wasn't like I was like, this may help somebody. I don't know why I shared. I just didn't mind sharing. And the story that I shared about the lady coming into my office at the church office when I was on staff there, again, had God asked me, hey, Jim, I want to talk to you about something. Yeah, Lord, what is it? Hey, come closer and talk to you. Hey, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to lose your home. I want you to lose your cars. I want you to lose basically all the money that you have, any sense of security. Hey, I think I would have interrupted. Lord, but isn't my security in you? anyway, I want you to lose everything. But Jim, you're going to be able to help a lot of people. Are you
down with it?
Are you down with this? Oh, no. No, Lord, I ain't about it. I probably said this. You know what I do? I got some great candidates that I would propose that you take. Because, see, you could take this guy, and then I could learn the lesson from him.
But it was for us. And you know what? It's been the best.
Be careful.
It's been the best.
Be careful.
It's really been the best in the sense that he said, these are two people that can do this, lose things, and still trust me.
Hey, I will tell you an interesting story about, I guess, shame. I thought one of the more encouraging stories that came out of this crisis is when the article in the newspaper came out, the local newspaper, I told you the story about the lady coming to the office. Mm-hmm. But here's another story. Another person, I don't know if you were with me or not, came up to me, I can't remember who it was, and said, hey, Jim, I read that article in the paper. Y'all went through all that? You lost your homes, your cars, you went through all that? I said, yeah. And she said, I didn't know this even happened to you. You look the same.
That's right. I know exactly who you're talking about. And yes, that's what she said.
Yeah. So I guess that, outwardly, we weren't, what's the word?
Distraught.
Yeah. We think that's a good word. Mm-hmm. We weren't distraught, but I was inwardly
devastated.
I was inwardly devastated. But I guess it didn't show on my face. So I guess that is encouraging. But that's why I didn't have maybe the level of shame. We talked about kind of how we felt different levels of shame. Mm-hmm. Surely I must have had some shame, although I'm naturally overly transparent and share a lot of stuff, right? Yeah. So do you know why, have we kind of wrapped up why our levels of shame were a bit different?
Well, I think it was just because of who we are as individuals and what we've gone through in our lives.
Do you think okay, so we went through stress, shame. Was your, we can't measure it. Was your stress level higher as well?
My stress level was high, but it was hidden.
That's not healthy.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Absolutely not healthy at all.
Okay. So stress, shame, the third intimacy, emotional and physical intimacy disruptor, you say is exhaustion. Mm-hmm. When there's nothing left to give. Okay, talk about that.
And I've seen this so many times when a person would come in and they are just totally exhausted in every aspect. So in every aspect. The emotional and the physical intimacy requires energy and presence and intention. And this person is like, I'm running on empty. I'm done. I just don't have anything else to give. It could be exhaustion from, it could be the work. It could be if they have children or parenting or caregiving, just poor sleep. It could be a chronic illness. All of those things can bring about, I'm just done. I'm just, empty. I'm running on empty. So then we have to look at, what actually is happening there. But yes, we can get to that place of total exhaustion.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
So anything else, stress, shame, exhaustion, anything else about exhaustion? You mentioned that it reduces creativity, it reduces motivation.
Libido.
It reduces the libido.
Mm-hmm.
Even affectionate touch or meaningful conversation.
It's hard to do that
because I'm exhausted.
You're in a different place.
Now, I do get that.
Yeah.
I do get that. Not that I don't get the others, but I try to put myself in these stories, and stress and sexual intimacy, shame and sexual intimacy, not so much, but I don't see those so much. I'm sure I'm impacted. But exhaustion, because I'll say to you sometimes, just in regular conversation, hey, Teresa, I just need a minute. Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
All right, so you talk about the vicious cycle. And when are we going to get to the part about for shame, stress, and exhaustion? How do you overcome it? Are you going to talk about that?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Keep going.
So the vicious cycle, stress, wow, this is interesting. Stress leads to exhaustion. Mm-hmm. Exhaustion lowers defenses, making shame more active. And then shame leads to emotional withdrawal, which increases stress.
You see the cycle?
I do see the cycle. Wow. That's really
And the
that's
cycle-
really
and
insightful.
And the cycle continues unless it's interrupted with compassion, awareness, and intentional care.
Let's talk about how couples can begin to break the blocks or break the disruptors or disrupt the disruptors. You say name what's happening.
Right. Compassionately acknowledge that stress, shame, and exhaustion is affecting the relationship. Not the partner themselves,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
affecting the relationship.
Okay. So I'm looking at you and I think you're the problem, but you're coaching me to look beyond you and see what's behind it.
Right.
The other thing, you name what's happening. By naming it, you take away its power.
Right.
And you've put your therapeutic seal of approval on that statement. Then you talk about creating space for restoration. What are you saying?
So prioritize rest, emotional check-ins, and support habits to reduce pressure and increase connection. You have to.
But that's easier said than done. We just lost everything. Now I got to work harder than I was working before to get it back. But you just told me to prioritize rest. Oh, but I just thought of something. You keep going. I just thought of something.
But well, I'm just saying you have to have rest in order to have your creativity, to restore yourself. You have to have that rest. So in order to continue going forward, rest is important.
I just thought of some great advice that somebody gave me about rest. When you're trying to build and conquer the world, when you're trying to build like the biggest empire or whatever it is that you're trying to do, and that is what I was trying to do. I had a person tell me something, Dave Bigler. You remember Dave?
I do remember.
Dave Bigler said, and then I later in the morning devotional doubled down on it. Dave said, hey, Jim, you can't work 20 hours a day. You can't work 18 hours a day. Here's what you do. Do your best. Ask God to bless. Let Jesus and the Holy Spirit do the rest.
I like it.
And then later on, after Dave told me that, I was reading, I believe it's Psalms 127, and this just gave me a sense of peace when it talked about those the Lord loves, he gives rest.
That's exactly right.
And so at that point, it just dawned on me, hey, I don't have to try to figure this all out by myself. Now, another way of saying it is, I'm still working, I'm not feet up, relaxed, right? But I didn't feel that sense of pressure. Hey, God, I'm doing the very best I can, which is not going to be enough. I need you.
Absolutely. I love that. It's like doubling down. Lord, I'm trusting you. And so I'm going to rest and I'm going to do my best and everything is going to be taken care of.
Okay. So we talked about creating space for restoration, normalize the conversation. What does that even mean? Normalize the conversation. Okay. What are you saying?
I guess, couples often assume they're the only one struggling.
We were the only ones struggling.
Absolutely
not. Were we not? I'm not aware of it.
Just knowing that these are common issues reduces isolation and blame. To know that people go through things. And even if you look, if you just look in your past life, you go through things.
Hey, Teresa, I was disagreeing with that until I thought of a conversation. Wow. Something that helped me tremendously as we were going through this?
What?
I was so in our city there were really two big players. Well, there were maybe three huge players in the real estate investment game. And a couple of years, we already moved to Illinois. I was back in Mississippi, and I was talking with a guy who was really big in town, much like we were in terms of the number of houses he sold. And I was sitting with him at breakfast one morning, and I said, hey, I got to tell you something. My hat's off to you. The way you came through this whole real estate devastation unscathed, I said, I got to tell you, hats off to you. And I remember he put his fork down. And we're talking about normalizing things, right?
Right.
He put his fork down. He looked up at me and said, Jim, I lost millions. And I said, oh, what? He said, yeah, I lost millions. He said, the difference was you lost millions, which was all you had. in terms of what you lost. I lost millions, but I had more. So he said, I didn't come through this unscathed. I lost a lot, just not everything.
Right.
And at that point, I went like, oh, maybe it wasn't just me.
It wasn't.
So
just you.
that did
Trust
help
me.
normalize it.
Yeah.
Hey, this therapy stuff that you be using really works, doesn't it?
It really does.
Because, okay, you did help normalize it. All right. Then what do you mean when you say invite small moments of intimacy?
So, sometimes I'll just come up to you and I'll give you a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Just that. I give you a kiss on the jaw, a touch.
Mm-hmm.
Just small little invites of
Okay.
intimacy.
Okay.
It's just sharing one little positive thing.
Got you there, Teresa.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
intimacy isn't just about desire, it's about capacity. When stress, shame, or exhaustion take over, capacity shrinks.
Yes.
But with grace and intentionality, couples can begin to clear the blocks and rebuild connection one intentional moment at a time.
Yes.
So, Teresa, I feel like we've covered a lot. I've learned a lot listening to you kind of walk through this, and even I try to evaluate and reevaluate myself. So this has been really helpful as we've talked about this, helpful to me. So
Me as well.
in summary, what do you want to leave our audience with, and maybe what is it you want them to do, not do? What do you want to leave them with?
So don't allow busyness to mess up your intimacy with each other, your connection with each other. Don't allow busyness to stop you from dating and caring for each other and doing special things and really appreciating your partner.
And realizing that's easier said than done, here's my word of the day for you. Be intentional.
Absolutely.
Be very intentional. It's not going to happen. We encourage spontaneity, right? And we encourage just doing things on the spur of the moment. But you've got to be very intentional, which is going to include planning some things to make sure you continue to grow emotionally and physically intimate throughout the rest of your relationship.
Right. So when the hard times come, you pull together and you are united.
It's too late to start building the roof when the rain's here.
Exactly.
You want to start building the roof before the rain gets here. Okay, guys, here's the last thing I would say to you. This is all easier if you have help. So the help that we lean on, the help that we're inviting you to lean on as well, is a personal relationship with Jesus. This is really, really hard anyway. It's hard for us.
Yes.
I mean, we're like born again believers, Christ followers. This is hard for us. So I can't imagine trying to do this on your own. So we're inviting you to enter into a very personal relationship with Jesus. Make him a very, very integral part, a foundational part of what you're trying to do in order to make this work. That's our last word to you. Hey, thanks for joining us. I hope you guys are getting as much out of this as we are. This is really, really helpful to us, and we pray that it's helpful to you as well. Follow us on all platforms, Marriage with Jim and Teresa, whether it's Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us on all socials. Now, why is that important? Because the social algorithms, it's like the more people are following in the algorithm's mind, the more important and potent the content is. Now, whether that's true or not, that's beside the point. So by you liking and subscribing and sharing and talking to your friends about, hey, do you listen to Marriage with Jim and Teresa? It helps us get the message out. So that would be our ask for you. In addition to the whole personal relationship with Jesus, share this with others so we can encourage them to have that same personal relationship. That's our ask. Hey, until next week, this is Jim.
I'm Teresa.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.